Hello guys, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. Obviously today is Friday, so hopefully you have had a good trading week so far. I'll just move that up a little bit. And that this Friday is a good end to your trading week. So my name's Becky. I know my head is in the way there of my email address, but it's becky@tradictive.com. There's also tradewithufos.com/Becky. That's also a way to get hold of me. In fact, it's the preferable way to get hold of me, and I'll show you why. Let's let's move that across. There we go. So if you go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, you can set yourself up with a free Trade with UFOs membership. With that, you'll get reminders of the YouTube sessions that we do, recordings of the YouTube sessions that we do. You'll get the email that we're about to go through in this 3D market commentary. And once you've got that free membership, you'll be able to come down here and ask a question in a public space, which is great because it means the answers are also posted in a public space. So the question that you have, if it's not already here with an answer, might be something that somebody else learns from later down the line. So we'd rather you ask questions there, but you don't have to. You can email me if you would prefer. Okay, so coming back to here, just to make sure that we cover the disclaimers. So they should be being highlighted there. Of course, it's important that you guys read the disclaimers and understand them, not just for legal reasons, but it's important to understand when you watch any kind of the videos that we do, they are demonstrations of the way that we approach the markets, not something that we're telling you you have to do. You can ignore it, you can take it on entirely, you can do something in between. That's ultimately up to you as a trader. Okay, so 3D market commentary, what is it? Well, we send out an email every day. In fact, I'm going to need to just move that for a second. There we go. So we send out an email every day. Let's just put that there. And we send out, there we go. There we go. It wasn't quite set up this morning. There we go. So we send out an email every day that has information on 5 major world markets. Now these 5 major world markets, you may not trade them directly, but a lot of them have a lot of impact on other markets. Now, we obviously are using information that's coming from the charts, from the markets themselves. Which is why we have the chart there on the right hand side. Now this 3D market approach, or 3D approach that we use for the markets, is so cool because we're looking at 3 major elements. Makes sense. So the first things first, we look at market climate, which is essentially where do we have probabilities? Up or down or nowhere? And if we know where we have probabilities up or down or nowhere, we know whether or not to go long or short, or in other words, buy or sell, or do nothing. Now, where do we get this information from? With us, we are always using technology to make our lives easier as traders. So we use this app that's down the bottom here on the right-hand side. That app is a free app. You can download it once you've got your free Trade with UFOs membership. It's called AutoClimate. Now, what it does is it scans through the market and it comes back and tells us, with different coloured dots and different thicknesses of them, where we have probabilities, up or down or nowhere. If it's a thick blue dot, for example, say one of these, that means we have a confirmed up to the upside. By the way, ignore the lines for now, just focuses on the dots. If it's a red dot, a thick red dot, that tells us probability to the downside. We should look to sell. If it's a thin dot of either colour, that kind of tells us to keep away. Doesn't really matter the colour. The fact that it's thin is the AutoClimate app's way of saying, keep away from this. It's not good enough either way. So we'll look at that per market. Where do we have probabilities either up or down? Now that's great to understand initially, but just because we have probability to go long doesn't mean we just buy anywhere. If we're going to understand where we're going to buy, then we come to our UFOs, buy and sell UFOs. That helps us with entries and exits. Specifically, where do we buy, where do we sell? Now UFO stands for unfilled orders, which means basically we have buy orders in the markets that push price up, and we have sell orders in the market that push price down. So we are looking for where these orders are. Now again, we use technology. We use an app to do this for us to make our lives easier. It's called AutoUFOs. This app is a paid for app. I'll explain that in a second. And it shows us with these little flying saucers and with price highlighted there on the right hand side, exactly where we have these stacks of buy and sell orders between specific price ranges. So that helps us to be very, very specific as to where we buy and sell, because we want to buy where there's loads of other buying. If there's loads of other buying, it's more likely to beat the sell orders and push price up. We want to sell where there's loads of other selling, because if there's loads of sell orders, they're much more likely to beat the buy orders and push price down. So that's why we use our UFOs there to help us with entry and exit. So we'll look at that per market as well. And then last but not least, we want to look at market volatility. Market volatility is essentially how quickly we expect these markets to move, or how far we expect them to move within given periods of time. So that gives us an idea of risk to reward, because the lower the volatility, i.e. the less it moves, the lower the risk, but it could be the lower the reward. The higher the volatility, or the more it moves, the higher the risk, and potentially the higher reward. So it's up to us as traders to interpret that, depending on how we feel about risk, to decide which markets we want to be a part of or not. So we'll go through that per 5 of the markets that we're going to go through today. Now we're looking at a daily chart per market, which means, of course, different things happen on different time frames. If you trade lower time frames or higher time frames, it will be different, but daily is kind of somewhere in the middle. So hopefully that helps you guys, whatever style of trader you are. So we're going to start with the S&P. Now we're looking at futures contracts for these. Let's just load that. We're looking at futures contract for these markets. So if you don't trade futures, don't worry. They are essentially representations of the markets we're going to be looking at. So to start with, we're looking at the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks, and we're looking at the ES, which is the futures contract for it. If you don't understand anything I just said, don't worry. Essentially, we are looking at a representation of the US stock market. Okay, so with the US stock market, we have an unconfirmed downwards climate. We have a thin red dot. Now, what that tells us is, although it's red, which means it's down, it's thin, which means it's not really enough probabilities to call it either way. We would choose to keep away from markets like this and just either change time frame or change the market. There's no need to trade something that doesn't have probabilities one way or the other. It would be gambling to guess. So we would tend to keep away from markets like that. Now, in terms of buy and sell UFOs, just so we have no sell UFOs, no sell orders above us, nothing there. We do have buy orders just here at 4076.00 to 4052.25. So we would expect if price were to hit that stack of buy orders that it would go up from there. But we'll see what happens. It may be that we stall for a little while and carry on from where we are. But at the moment, like I said, not enough probabilities really either way. Now, when it comes to market volatility, we would expect movement up or down in one day for the S&P here of 47.78 points. In a week, we would expect movement up or down of 105.18 points. And in 1 month, it would be up or down of 218.95. Now, these are sort of rough estimates based on options prices that tell us up or down the movement that we would expect. We would use our climate and our UFOs to help us determine more specifically in which direction that's more likely to happen. So that means in this case, we actually don't really know because of the climate and the UFOs a little farther away. If we had a confirmed climate, then we would have in that direction. Hopefully there'll be examples of that as we go through. So moving on to the next market, which will be oil. In the meantime, it says there about the courses that we offer. Now we do courses in futures, Forex, stocks, trading psychology, trading plans, back testing. Most of our courses come with 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, AutoClimate on most of the platforms we use is free anyway, but AutoUFOs, depending on which platform you use, depends how much it costs, but it is a paid-for app. Now, if we take, let's say, TradingView, for example, TradingView, the one that I'm using here, is $34 a month for the AutoUFOs. Now, some of the courses that we do are $89 and come included with that AutoUFO for 3 months. So if you do the maths on that, it actually could work out cheaper to access the AutoUFOs by purchasing a course anyway. So you have the course and the UFOs for cheaper than if you just had the UFOs for that period of time. Hopefully that makes sense. You can check it out on the website and see what I mean. Okay, so crude oil. Let's have a look here. We have a confirmed downwards climate. Thick red dot, probability to the downside. Now, usually this market would go down for 8 candles. I know that says 7.07. I'm just rounding it up there. So it normally goes down for 8 candles, and we're on candle number 2. That tells us that we have probability of a continuous move down based on what usually happens. Now, saying that, we do have an interesting situation with our buy and sell UFOs. We have sell orders that we are within right now, just touching. The numbers for that are 63.60 to 61.49. So that's a stack of sell orders there that we're literally just touching. And just below us, we have a stack of buy orders, which is 60.77 to 58.73. So we have sellers and buyers really, really close to each other, kind of fighting at the moment. Now, overall, with the climate, there's probability to the downside. However, considering we have buy orders in the way, and after that one, we have more buy orders in the way, and after that one, more buy orders in the way, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a fight go on, and I wouldn't be able to call who the winner would be. So I personally would keep away from this, although if we had to call it in one direction, because we have sell orders and the climate on our side, would be overall to the downside. But like I said, you've got buy orders in the way, so be wary of that. Now, with market volatility, we would expect movement up or down in one day on oil of 1.52 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 3.35 points. And in 1 month, up or down of 6.98 points. Overall, like I said, more probability to the downside than the upside. Not enough for me to warrant a trade, but like I said, overall to the downside there with climate and these sell orders. Okay, so let's have a look at gold. In the meantime, it says there about subscribing to the app. So you may not want to do a course. You may just want the apps. Like I said, it might be a cheaper way actually to get the apps for 3 months by doing a course anyway, or by having a course anyway. But up to you. You can subscribe directly to the apps if you want to. Again, AutoClimate is a free app. AutoUFOs on TradingView is $34 a month, and it costs different amounts on different platforms. So again, you can check out the website and see from there. Okay, so let's have a look at gold. So blue dot, probability to the upside, confirmed upwards climate. Usually it goes up for 7 candles. We're on candle number 6. So we're coming to the end of what might be a usual move to the upside. And in fact, it might even line up with sell UFO. So if price was to come up and hit this sell UFO, we would expect the sell orders to push price down, which would probably be around about the time that the climate would be due to end anyway. So those things might line up. Now, just to show you how these UFOs work, this UFO has already pushed price down. This is how it works. Price came up, hit this stack of sell orders between that price range, and went down from there. That's exactly what we expect sell UFOs to do, is push price down. And we expect buy UFOs to push price up. That's telling us exactly where we should get in or out. It would have been a good thing to sell at this price, as dictated by the UFO, and profit from that downwards move. Okay, now we have buy orders that are just here. Numbers for that are 1652.8 to 1624.4. So we don't have buy orders close by. We have sell orders closer to us, and we're coming to the end of a move to the upside based on what usually happens. So at the moment, still probabilities for a move up, at least for another day or so, based on what usually happens. But I wouldn't be surprised to see gold change price once it hits that sell UFO. But we'll see. Now, market volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 day of 18.05 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 34.74 points. And in 1 month, up or down of 82.73 points. Okay. Now, just to say before we go on to the next market, actually, we have coaching and support. You can follow us on YouTube for free. We do a lot of sessions where we're trading, where we're explaining concepts, where we're going into psychology, loads of stuff on YouTube for free that you can use. We also have a closed coaching environment where you have more of our time in that closed environment, and that's $21 a month for that coaching program. Okay, so moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. Here we go. So the US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every single day. So whether you trade it or not, be aware of it and be mindful of what's going on in the US dollar. So here we have confirmed downwards climate, thick red dot, probability to the downside. Now, usually this market would go down for 6 candles, and we're currently on candle number 13. So that means we've gone way past what is usual in terms of a move to the downside there. Now, that's not to say it can't continue. It obviously already has continued past what is usual, but it means that it's less likely to keep continuing. The more it goes past what's normal, the more it goes past the statistics, the less probability there is. So just bear that in mind. Now, when it comes to buy and sell UFOs, again, we kind of have sell orders more on our side here because we have sell orders just here from 91.810 to 91.470, and that's just above us. And we have buy orders a little way below us, which is at 90.445 to 89.675. So we still have room to the downside to go before we hit buy orders, and we have sell orders that have come in recently. So overall, probability there to the downside with the dollar, but bear in mind it is likely to be coming to an end sooner rather than later. Now, when it comes to market volatility, we would expect a movement up or down in one day of 0.34 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of points. And in 1 month, up or down of 1.56 points. Overall there to the downside for the time being. Okay, so moving on to the last market, which is Bitcoin. So let's take a quick look there. Now, Bitcoin, back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is obviously a cryptocurrency, one of the more volatile of the markets that we look at. Not a good or bad thing, but just be aware of it. Volatility increases risk. It can increase reward as well, but bear in mind, if you're a more conservative trader, you may want to keep away from volatile markets. Now, with Bitcoin, we have a confirmed downwards climate. We have a thick red dot, probability there to the downside. We don't know how long it usually goes down for based on what usually happens because it's not old enough yet. We don't have enough data on a daily chart to be able to say what is usual and what is not. But at the time being, there probability there to the downside with Bitcoin. And we have sell orders just above us here at 65,000 exactly to 61,120. And then we have buy orders a little way below us there at 39,157.5 to 32,192.5. Now, we're kind of in the middle of these. So we are here at the moment, roughly. Just a bit above that, we're here. So at the moment, considering the climate, we have room to continue to go down before we hit the buy orders. But if it goes up from here, it's got a little way to go before it hits the sell orders. So we might see quite a bit of volatility there as price has a lot of room to move based on the buy and sell orders that are lacking close by. So again, it increases volatility normally. It's normally quite a volatile market anyway, so just bear that in mind. When it comes to volatility, we would expect movement up or down in 1 day of 2,648.61. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 5,830.66. And in 1 month, it would be up or down of 12,137.48. So again, reasonable moves there based on if you take it as a percentage of price. So again, just bear that in mind, not good or bad, but just be aware of the volatility in the markets that you trade. Now, if you have any questions, by the way, if you want to chat with somebody about what about the courses, or I want that apps, but maybe if it's cheaper for me to get a course, then maybe I might as well have a look at what courses make more sense to me, but I'm not quite sure. I already trade this, but should I learn how to trade something different? Should I just use the free membership? If you have any questions about what we could do to help you, you can self-schedule a clarification call, speak to one of our experts and go through that. Now, just to say on our weekly economic calendar here, this comes back to volatility. We filter on the FX Street economic calendar. We filter by high impact news because high impact news can increase volatility. So it gives us an idea of which markets we're likely to see a bit more movement on for that day that news report comes out. And again, we can interpret that as we will. If you're a really conservative trader, you might say, if there's any high impact news that day, I'm not trading that market. You might be somebody that really embraces it and goes, right, I'm going to deliberately go towards the high volatility markets. Where you say, I'm still going to trade it, but I'm going to reduce my risk percentage, or I'm going to reduce the amount of trades based on what I normally do. However you interpret that, but just again, be aware of the high impact news that could increase volatility on the markets that you trade. Okay, so that's me done. That is the end of the day and end of the week in terms of these market commentaries. I'll be back on Monday morning for the next one. Any questions in the meantime, you can self-schedule that clarification call. You can email me, Becky@tradictive.com, or you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership, and then you can come down and ask that question publicly so I can answer it publicly so other people can learn from that as well. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great end to your trading week, and I will see you